In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And at the heart of that eternal conflict stand the Emperor's Angels of Death, the Space Marines. Towering warriors clad in ceramite power armor, wielding devastating weapons and unwavering faith. They are humanity's greatest defenders and its most terrifying creations. But who are the Space Marines, really? Where did they come from? And what makes them more than just men in armor? In this episode, we'll delve into the bloody history and the grotesquely fascinating biology of the Adeptus Astartes, from their origins in the Emperor's grand vision during the Great Crusade, to their gene-forged bodies enhanced by ancient science and dark alchemy. We'll uncover what it truly means to be a Space Marine, whether you're a battle-scarred veteran of the lore, or just now hearing about power fists and gene seed. This is the story of humanity's superhuman soldiers, brothers in war, legends in death. Who are the Space Marines? They are called many things. Adeptus Astartes, the Emperor's Angels of Death, post-human demigods of war. But no matter the name, the reality is the same. Space Marines are the finest warriors humanity has ever produced. Engineered for war, Space Marines are superhuman soldiers created by the Emperor of mankind, forged in the crucible of the Great Crusade, to reunite the scattered remnants of humanity under one Imperium, towering over mortal men at nearly 8 feet tall. Their body are a patchwork of genetic enhancements, surgical grafts, and decades of brutal training. Each Marine houses 19 specialized organs, called implants, designed to enhance strength, reflexes, endurance, even perception. Their blood clots instantly. They can breathe poison. They can survive wounds that would kill a tank crew. But Space Marines aren't born, they're made. Recruited from the harshest death worlds and hive cities of the Imperium, only the strongest, fastest, and most ruthless are selected. Even then, most do not survive the transformation. Clad in power armor and wielding weapons the size of tree trunks, each Marine is more than just a soldier. They are living icons of Imperial might. They don't fight for glory. They fight because that's what they were created to do. Because if they don't, no one else can. In the lore of Warhammer 40,000, the Space Marines are central figures, heroes in a galaxy that has forgotten hope. Whether they're purging heretics, battling the alien, or turning on each other in civil war, the Astartes embody the brutal heart of the setting. They are not just warriors. They are the Imperium's answer to a universe that wants humanity dead. And as we'll see, their story is written in gene seed, in fire, and in blood. The history of the Space Marines. To understand the Space Marines, we must travel back 10,000 years, long before the galaxy became a war-torn nightmare of demons, heresy, and decay. The origins of the Adeptus Astartes lie in the dying embers of old Earth, or Terra, during an age of collapse and unending war. After the fall of the Dark Age of technology, humanity was shattered. Warp storms isolated planets. Artificial intelligences turned on their creators, and civilization crumbled. What followed was the age of strife, millennia of anarchy, mutation, and chaos. On Terra, warlords ruled, and techno-barbarian tribes fought for scraps of knowledge and power. Then came the Emperor, a being of unfathomable power and ancient design. the Emperor emerged from the shadow of human history with a vision to unify humanity and launch a Great Crusade across the stars. But first, he needed warriors. His initial creations were the Thunder Warriors, brutal, unstable super soldiers designed to crush Terra's resistance. They were effective, but flawed. Once Terra was united, the Emperor disposed of them and set about creating something better. From secret gene labs came the Primarch Project. 20 perfect sons, genetically crafted to lead vast armies across the stars. But before they could grow to maturity, the forces of chaos scattered them across the galaxy. In their absence, the Emperor created the Space Marines using their genetic blueprints, each legion infused with the DNA of its lost Primarch. Thus were born the 20 original Legions Astartes, each one a specialized fighting force, each tailored to a different form of warfare. When the Great Crusade began, these legions became the Emperor's spearhead, bringing worlds into compliance, either through diplomacy or annihilation. As the Crusade expanded, the Emperor eventually found his lost sons one by one. Each Primarch took command of their corresponding legion. This was the golden age of the Space Marines: glory, conquest, and loyalty to the dream of a united Imperium. But dreams die hard in Warhammer 40,000. In time, cracks began to form. The Emperor withdrew to Terra to pursue secretive projects, namely the construction of the Webway, an attempt to bypass the warp altogether. His absence and silence bred resentment. Chief among the discontented was Horus Lupercal, Primarch of the Luna Wolves, and the Emperor's favorite son. Corrupted by the Chaos Gods, Horus led a massive rebellion, the Horus Heresy, that tore the Imperium in two. Fully half the Space Marine legions turned traitor, plunging the galaxy into a cataclysmic civil war. Brother fought brother in battles that scorched worlds. The Siege of Terra was the apocalyptic climax, where Horus reached the gates of the Imperial Palace. The Emperor slew Horus, but was mortally wounded and interred in the Golden Throne, a life support device that has kept him barely alive for 10,000 years. After the heresy, the traitor legions fled into the Eye of Terror, where they remain today as twisted Chaos Space Marines. The Loyalist legions were broken up into smaller chapters under the Codex Astartes, a blueprint for war written by the loyal Primarch Robout Guilliman to prevent any one force from growing too powerful again. Since then, the Space Marines have fought endless wars. They are defenders of the Imperium, yes, but also enforcers, executioners, and sometimes tyrants. New chapters have been founded over the millennia, including the Primaris Marines, introduced in the wake of the Adeptus Crusade, a new breed of Astartes created by Guilliman himself in the 42nd millennium. 10,000 years of war, and they are still fighting. The history of the Space Marines is a saga of loyalty and betrayal, of divine purpose corrupted by pride. They were born to save mankind, but in the grim darkness of the far future, even salvation wears a suit of powered armor and speaks with the voice of wrath. The biology and implants of the Space Marines. Space Marines may look like men encased in armor, but beneath the ceramite, they are anything but truly human. The Adeptus Astartes are biologically engineered super soldiers, each one sculpted from the raw flesh of a mortal recruit and reforged into something stronger, faster, and more resilient than baseline humanity could ever be. Their transformation is not symbolic. It is scientific, surgical, and brutal. The process begins during adolescence. Candidates, usually between the ages of 10 and 14, are selected from the harshest worlds in the Imperium. Death worlds, hive gangs, gladiatorial pits, places where only the fiercest survive. Even at this stage, most applicants die during trials. Those who pass are inducted into a long and agonizing transformation that involves the implantation of 19 specialized organs, each one a marvel and a horror of bioengineering. The most important of these is the gene seed, a pair of genetic organs harvested from a previous space marine, containing the blueprint of a specific legion's primarch. The gene seed acts as the catalyst for the rest of the transformation, allowing the other implants to develop and integrate. Let's break down a few of the more notorious augmentations. The Biscopea boosts muscle growth exponentially, turning boys into giants. The Osmodula modifies bone structure, causing the skeleton to grow denser and larger. Ribs fuse into a bulletproof plate, bones thicken like steel girders. The Laramen's organ allows Marines to clot wounds almost instantly, stopping bleeding in seconds. The Preomnor and Ulitic kidney filter out poisons and toxins, letting Marines eat spoiled food or digest alien flesh without harm. The multi-lung, sometimes called the third lung, allows breathing in toxic atmospheres or even underwater. The oculobe enhances eyesight, allowing perfect night vision and aiming even in total darkness. The catalepsian node lets Marines go without sleep, resting only one half of the brain at a time. And perhaps most infamously, the black carapace, implanted beneath the skin, interfaces directly with their power armor, turning it into a second nervous system. The full process can take years. Even once all organs are implanted, recruits must survive hypnotherapy, psycho-indoctrination, and decades of combat training. Every Astartes is reprogrammed, physically and mentally, to fight, obey, and kill without hesitation. But there's a dark side to all this. Not all chapters maintain clean or stable gene seed. Mutations are common, some minor, some monstrous. The Blood Angels, for example, suffer the Red Thirst and the Black Rage, genetic curses that drive them into berserk fury or make them relive the death of their primarch. The Space Wolves walk a thin line with the Canis Helix, a mutation that brings them closer to wolf than man. And for others, like the cursed founding chapters, well, let's just say, they don't talk about the ones that didn't make it. Still, when the process works, the result is terrifying. A being who can crush a car with his bare hands, shrug off small arms fire, and keep fighting with half his organs torn out. A Space Marine is not just a soldier. He is a weapon, designed, refined, and unleashed upon the enemies of the Imperium. They are humanity's final answer to extinction. And when one falls in battle, the apothecaries retrieve his gene seed to grow another. The technology and society of the Space Marines. To the outside galaxy, the Space Marines are engines of war. But within their fortress monasteries behind the Plasteel and the Thunder lies a complex society shaped by ritual, hierarchy, and sacred technology. Each chapter of the Adeptus Astartes is a world unto itself. Though they all descend from the original legions, every chapter is autonomous, governing its own traditions, cultures, and war doctrines. Some are knightly brotherhoods steeped in honor and martial pride. Others resemble warrior cults, monk-like orders, or tribal pacts. All are bound together by faith in the Emperor and their sacred duty to wage war. But make no mistake, Space Marines do not live ordinary lives. They have no civilian population, no economy, no need for comfort or luxury. Their world revolves around battle, prayer, and preparation for the next conflict. Their homes are fortress monasteries, massive, often ancient structures carved into mountains, space stations, or hidden beneath alien landscapes. These are part cathedral, part armory, and part tomb. Within these strongholds are reliquaries of sacred weapons, gene seed vaults, training arenas, and chapels echoing with the voices of warrior priests. And then there is the technology. Astartes' technology is a fusion of the impossibly advanced and the terrifyingly ancient. Much of it dates back to the Dark Age of technology, an era of scientific mastery now lost to time. In the present, even the most basic of machines are viewed with awe and reverence. Technology is no longer engineered, it is worshipped. Space Marine war gear is maintained by the Tech Marines, Astartes, who have trained with the Adeptus Mechanicus on Mars. These warrior engineers walk a fine line between two faiths, loyalty to the chapter and devotion to the machine god. They speak in Binharic code, offer prayers to machine spirits, and anoint bolt guns with sacred oils before battle. Speaking of which, few weapons more iconic than the bolter, firing .75 caliber explosive rounds. A bolt gun doesn't just kill, it obliterates. Astartes also wield plasma weaponry, flamers, grav guns, power swords, and relic blades blessed by forgotten technologies or forged from Xenos bone. The deadliest of all, dreadnoughts, crippled Marines interred in walking sarcophagi, kept alive for centuries, even millennia, as living weapons of war. But none of it matters without power armor, the second skin of the Space Marine. Each suit is a marvel, a fusion of servo motors, reinforced ceramite plating, atmospheric seals, and data link systems that turn its wearer into a one-man army. With the black carapace, the armor responds as quickly as flesh. Helmets come with auto senses, targeting systems, and battlefield vox links. Some suits are thousands of years old, handed down through generations, revered like saints' relics. And at the heart of the chapter, socially and spiritually, are its leaders, the chapter master, the librarians who wield psychic powers, the chaplains who maintain spiritual purity, and the apothecaries who preserve gene seed. Each role is not just functional, it's sacred. The Codex Astartes, written by Robout Guilliman, lays out strict rules for chapter organization, combat roles, even paint schemes. But not all chapters follow it to the letter. Some, like the Space Wolves or Black Templars, follow their own paths, fueled by tradition, necessity, or belief. To an outsider, this all seems archaic, superstition wearing the mask of science, but to the Space Marines, it is truth. Their society is not one of innovation, it is preservation. They are the custodians of a dying empire, holding the line with relics they barely understand, and faith that keeps them from falling to darkness. And yet, they endure for 10,000 years. They are not just warriors. They are relics of a forgotten future, fighting to protect a humanity that may no longer deserve saving. Key wars and battles. If the Space Marines are the Imperium's sword, then history is the trail of blood they've left in their wake. For 10,000 years, the Adeptus Astartes have fought across the stars in battles both legendary and forgotten. Some of these wars have defined the very fate of the galaxy. Others, the honor of a single chapter. All of them showcase the brutal, uncompromising purpose of the Emperor's Angels of Death. Let's begin where it all changed. The Horus Heresy, the greatest civil war in human history. The heresy was the moment the legions turned on one another. Led by War Master Horus, fully half of the Space Marine legions fell to chaos. The final act, the Siege of Terra, saw the traitor forces breach the Imperial Palace itself. Blood soaked the soil of Holy Terra. Titans walked. Thousands of Marines died by the hour. And it ended with the Emperor killing Horus aboard his flagship and being entombed on the Golden Throne. The scars of this war have never healed. In the millennia that followed, the Imperium never knew peace. Only the brief silences between wars. Take the First War for Armageddon, a bloody campaign against the demon Primarch Angron and his World Eaters. It was the Grey Knights, the Emperor's secret chapter of demon hunters, who banished him back to the warp. But in a grim twist, all who witnessed their battle, including loyal Imperial Guard, were purged to protect the secret of the Grey Knight's existence. Then there's the Badab War, a rare instance of Space Marine fighting Space Marine in the post-heresy age. The Astral Claws, led by the megalomaniacal Luft Huron, rebelled against the Imperium, declaring themselves sovereign. The war saw chapter against chapter, and the use of forbidden weapons, boarding actions, and savage void combat. It ended with the fall of the Astral Claws and the birth of Huron Blackheart, now a Chaos warlord ruling the Maelstrom. One of the most infamous campaigns was the 13th Black Crusade, led by none other than Abaddon the Despoiler, War Master of Chaos. This multi-system conflict brought together countless chapters, including the Ultramarines, Imperial Fists, and Space Wolves, in a desperate bid to stop Abaddon from breaking the Cadian Gate. Though Cadia ultimately fell, the Imperium stood, barely. But the truth was clear. The galaxy had changed. The Great Rift had opened. The era of endings had begun. And then came the Indomitus Crusade, a counter-offensive led by Robout Guilliman, resurrected Primarch of the Ultramarines. With the help of the newly forged Primaris Space Marines, the Imperium struck back across hundreds of war fronts, seeking to reclaim what was lost. These fresh warriors, stronger and more advanced than their forebears, brought hope to Zabaying Imperium, but even Guilliman knows hope is a rare commodity in the 42nd millennium. Other battles have become legends in their own right. The defense of Macragge, where the Ultramarines faced a near-extinction event against Hive Fleet Behemoth. The Third War for Armageddon, where the Black Templars, Salamanders, and Blood Angels fought waves of orcs under the warlord Gazkul Thraka. The fall of Hellsreach, a desperate defense led by Chaplain Grimaldus, where even the cathedral walls bled under fire. Each war, each world, each drop of blood spilled by a Space Marine is more than just a tale of violence. It is a line in the chronicle of a dying empire. Victory is not assured, glory is fleeting, but duty, that endures. The Space Marines do not fight for medals or recognition. They fight because someone must. And if they die, they do so as legends. The Space Marines are more than just warriors. They are myths made flesh, living weapons forged in suffering, clad in iron, and driven by purpose beyond comprehension. In a galaxy drowning in madness, heresy, and endless war, the Adeptus Astartes stand as humanity's final hope and its greatest tragedy. Created in the Emperor's image, molded by ancient science and sacred dogma, they fight not for peace, but for survival, not for freedom, but for obedience. Their victories are fleeting, their sacrifices eternal, yet still they endure. For every world saved, 1,000 more fall. For every brother lost, another is forged in his place. In the Imperium, there are no heroes, only those who fight long enough to become legends or monsters. And in the grim darkness of the far future, there are few legends greater than the Space Marines. So, the next time you see a bolt gun roar, or hear the name of a chapter whispered in fear or awe, remember, behind the armor, behind the ritual, behind the war cry, stands the last guardian of mankind.